Yesterday I took delivery of my new Apple Watch Ultra, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think of this huge watch as someone with small wrists who prefers even smaller watches. Will it work? Is it a keeper? Stick around. But before getting to that, I want to run over a couple of tech specs and what you get by purchasing the Apple Watch Ultra over, say, the Series 8 that was released alongside it this year. First of all, there is no performance difference whatsoever between the Series 8 and the Apple Watch Ultra. In fact, there's really no significant performance difference when you go back a couple of generations, and that's why Apple chooses to mark the performance increase compared to the Series 5 versus the Series 7 from last year or even the 6 from the year before. So performance is not the reason to get the Apple Watch Ultra, but there are many other reasons why you would consider it. First of all is obviously the larger case size. This is the biggest Apple Watch that Apple has ever made, coming in at 49mm across. The case sizes of the standard Apple Watch are only 41 or 45mm for both the smaller and larger respectively. This watch is a behemoth. It has an incredibly large display. And not only that, it is way brighter as well, coming in at 2000 nits versus 1000 nits on the standard watches. While I've only had the Ultra for about 36 hours, I am already appreciating the larger screen, and that is especially coming from the smaller case size which I usually get. Unlike the other Apple Watch models, this really feels like you have a mini computer or mini iPhone on your wrist. There is so much more real estate for apps, and I can even type out text messages, which I would never have considered doing before. Going alongside the screen changes, it now has a completely flat top sapphire glass compared to the previous models which had a nice curved edge to them. Now while those curved edges are definitely aesthetically pleasing, the flat glass of the Apple Watch Ultra is definitely noticeable and frankly just gives it a more modern look. Now besides having a larger screen, the Apple Watch Ultra is also significantly thicker, about 4mm or so. These two things combined allowed Apple to shove a whole bunch more battery in there, giving you a much longer battery life than in the standard models. Because of this bigger battery, the Apple Watch Ultra can now get about 36 hours of battery life compared to the 18 of the normal models, or a 60-hour battery life in the new low power mode. And then of course there are the new bands. Apple says that the Ultra is compatible with all the larger size bands that they have sold up till now for the 45mm watches, but in addition to those, Apple has released 3 new style bands dedicated to the Apple Watch Ultra. Now I chose to go with the Alpine Loop for mine because, I mean, hello, that is a beautiful bright orange color and I could definitely not resist. The Alpine Loop comes with a rugged hook fastener system that I'm really enjoying, but in addition to that, you can also purchase the Trail Loop bands, which are like the continuous Velcro straps that they had before, but these are even thinner and more comfortable than previous models, as well as a new rugged rubber version for using the Apple Watch as a mini dive watch. Continuing along with the external changes, there is now a third action button, as Apple calls it, which is programmable, allowing you to set it to a whole bunch of different actions. For right now, I've set it to trigger the flashlight as I like to wear my watch to bed, and it's nice to have a flashlight in the middle of the night, say when I get up to go to the bathroom or whatnot. But you can set it to a wide range of other things, including triggering an Apple shortcut. I will definitely be playing around with this more in the future. Going over to the other side of the Apple Watch, we have the usual Apple Watch button as well as the digital crown, but both those buttons are now surrounded by a crown guard to protect them from accidental touches or, whatnot when you're out there roughing it and doing your extreme sports with the Apple Watch. The final external change that I want to talk about is the case material itself. Unlike the other Apple Watch models, there is only one option. It is always natural titanium, no choice of colors or case material. I've always been a big fan of the stainless steel models, particularly the one with the gold finish. It just adds a bit of shine and sparkle to it that allows you to dress up the Apple Watch a bit more than you would normally be able to. However, the titanium finish is really nice. Now, you're not dressing up this watch, but it doesn't look ugly either. Besides all these external changes, there are a couple of new features, or at least new classifications that I want to talk about real quick. First up is water resistance. The Apple Watch Ultra is significantly more water resistant than the standard Apple Watch models. Apple rates the Ultra as water resistant up to 100 meters in depth compared to the 50 meters of the normal model. In addition to that, the Apple Watch Ultra is also certified to act as a depth gauge and Oceanic Plus dive computer. The Ultra also has better microphones and speakers, as well as an inbuilt 86 decibel siren for cases when you, need to get help and need to let others around you know that you need that help. There are a bunch of other new features built into the watch, but the final one that I want to mention that I'm really excited about is that, like the iPhone 14 Pros, the Apple Watch Ultra has dual band GPS. This means that in situations where it is supported, you will get much more accurate GPS data. But now let's talk about the main thing that I am really interested in, and that is how does this huge watch fit on a small wrist? As I said at the outset, I have small wrists and I prefer to wear small watches. Because of that, I've always bought the smallest model Apple Watch. So if that's the case, why am I considering upgrading my 41mm Series 7 to the 49mm Apple Watch Ultra? Well, basically it comes down to my use case. You see, I don't wear my Apple Watch all the day. I wear it for very specific activities. Basically, I only wear my Apple Watch in 4 situations. The first of these is when I'm trying to be a bit more intentional about my health or fitness. In these situations, I will wear the Apple Watch for a couple of weeks in a row just to try to get me back on the right track. Continuing along with that trend is time number 2, in which I wear the Apple Watch to track my physical activity or my exercise. Say I hop on the rowing machine or go out for a run, I'll throw on the Apple Watch to keep track of that activity. Scenario number 3 is when I'm traveling or out and about, and sometimes having that smartwatch is a real benefit over having a traditional analog watch, and I can have access to much more information quickly on my wrist. And then scenario number 4 is when I'm sleeping. I wear an Apple Watch to bed every single night without fail. Now, while I do enjoy having data about my sleep, the real reason I do this is for the vibrating alarm in the morning. In short, it's just way more pleasant to wake up to vibrations on the wrist versus a buzzing alarm clock. Additionally, over the years I've been doing this, I've gotten really used to having the time always available in the middle of the night, as well as being able to quickly turn on the flashlight if I say need to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. It's really convenient. So given those scenarios, what do I think about the Apple Watch Ultra? Does it work for me, and do I think it can work on a small wrist? In short, yes, I really think it does. Even though the Apple Watch Ultra is a big watch, it wears much smaller than I expected. Now, I don't think I could wear a watch any bigger than this, but it does just work for my wrist. In fact, it was pretty easy to get used to. I've been wearing this almost non-stop for the past 36 hours, and I do think it could be an everyday, all-day watch for me. Now, it won't, for the reason I've already mentioned. I like my analog watches, but it could work. My biggest concern was wearing such a big watch to bed, and while I've only had one night's sleep with it, it was really no problem whatsoever. No bumps, no snags, it was just as comfortable as wearing my 41mm Series 7. Well, how about thickness? Well, it is definitely noticeably thicker than previous generations. But once again, I quickly got used to it. Now, a couple times it snagged on my sleeve cuff, but that was only a couple times. More often than not, the sleeve cuff just slid over it nice and gracefully. So yes, the Apple Watch Ultra can work on a small wrist. Talk to you next time. Bye. Okay. Yesterday, I don't need to sound like I'm... No, let's drop that out. 1, 2, 3. Why 4? Do I only have 3? You see, I don't wear my... I need a little drink. Or 60 hour... I'm gonna redo that whole segment. Nah, let's just drop that. Let's just end right there.